Good afternoon, good morning. It's Mark Johnson from Loyalty 360 to help everyone's happy, safe, and well on this lovely Friday. I want to welcome you back to another edition of Loyalty Live. In this series, we talk to the leaders in customer channel and brand loyalty about the technology trends, best practices that impacts a brand's ability to drive unique experiences, engagement, but most importantly, customer loyalty. In the month of April, we have a little mini-series we're looking at and kind of addressing in our Loyalty Live series, looking at trends that are impacting brands' customer loyalty, customer experience approach. And today, we have the pleasure of speaking with one and only Richard Jones, the Chief Marketing Officer at Cheetah Digital. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, surviving the pandemic, so can't complain.
Okay, yeah. So that really begs kind of the first question. Collectively, over this last year, it's been very unique, challenging. You and I speak quite often. As consumers, people are changing. We hear about that consistently evolving. How do you see consumers changing in some of the brands that you work with? And for those who don't know, maybe even give a brief background on what Cheetah Digital does and how you do it first.
Yeah, sure. So I came to Cheetah Digital by way of their acquisition of a company that I'd founded, Weigh-In, which has been collecting zero-party data, helping brands do that at scale for the last decade or so, and I'm now the CMO of Cheetah Digital. And Cheetah Digital has a customer engagement suite where loyalty technology is right at the heart of that, and I'll come on to why we think that's important later. But I think your question about the consumer changes over the course of the pandemic with our brands, I think I can answer that question more broadly than the brands we work with, because we've recently released some data out there, some original research that we did with eConsultancy, which was a 5-country initiative, 5,000 consumers, just digging into this particular issue around consumer attitudes and trends as they've been changing over the course of the pandemic. And we really came away from that report saying that there was 4 sort of very clear areas where the consumer attitudes were changing. The first was the rise of the ethical consumer, and that's not so much of a surprise, really. Generally we're seeing this backdrop of brand and consumer engagement playing out against a reckoning around data and privacy and harmful content and social justice and disinformation that's impacting many areas and aspects of society, from politics to big tech. And so that was a major consideration. The second was consumers sort of challenging marketing fundamentals, which was very interesting. So, marketing fundamentals, things like the approaches to personalization that as marketers we've all been running over the last period of time. Those are now some of those tactics are being seen as things that can actually damage a brand's reputation and revenue if not done right. So consumers are out there challenging a lot of marketing fundamentals. And the third was like ad tech and social platform disruption really erupting, right? And so, the practice of targeting ads based on invasive user tracking has fueled the internet economy for the last decade, and the algorithms that really drive our attention and keep us sort of coming back and logging more and connecting, making sure we're up to speed on what's going on social, looking at our statuses and the rest of it. Those algorithms have essentially polarized society. They've helped spread harmful content, conspiracy theories, all the rest of it. And what we're seeing is now consumer reaction against some of that. So there's lots of disruption in ad tech and social platforms. We've really seen that erupt. And then the last piece was the need for direct-to-consumer engagement, both willingly being asked for from consumers, as well as brands having to then focus on direct-to-consumer engagement because of things like disruption in privacy and ad tech, the deprecation of third-party cookie, and it was interesting because the research was mapping it to consumer attitudes. So something like, I think it was 75% of consumers, 74% of consumers actually wanted brands to dial back on Facebook advertising and instead invest it into a value exchange delivered via loyalty programs. So that direct to consumer need is being mirrored by consumers wanting to connect directly with brands and be less spammed with advertising, and marketers needing to build direct connections to isolate themselves from some of this disruption around things like the deprecation of third-party tracking cookies.
No, I think you're absolutely right too. And as you know, customer loyalty is not just about one platform, and we see that as well. Just a huge investment for brands, especially the brands that define customer loyalty as a bigger picture investment in the organization, not just having a loyalty program, but truly focused on understanding all kinds of data, creating zero-party, more declared data opportunities. As you know, first-party data is challenged right now. Third-party data, first-party data is becoming more and more challenged. You can have more and more of that, but truly getting to know a customer on kind of an input level, one-to-one, is where brands need to go, and those that are doing it well are excelling. And I think you and I have had some conversations in the last week. It's not necessarily just a loyalty program. You can potentially have a CDP, you could have a VOE, VOC, you have to have an AI and ML. It's very confusing right now for marketers to get technology right. And in order for you to do it well, you have to get it right, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. The days of having loyalty programs running off to the side as points for purchases type environments, that's over. I mean, loyalty has to be the end goal of your whole customer engagement strategy. There is nothing more important than your customer loyalty program, and it has to be embedded right at the heart of your customer engagement strategy. And I think doing so has a couple of major benefits. One, it'll help you collect lots more data around your consumers using things like zero-party data, etc. It'll also help you to make sure that you're responding to all sorts of different signals around an individual's behavior across all different customer channels and interactions, and then looking for opportunities to then drive an enhanced experience for a customer. There's no way that you can do that with a loyalty program running off to the side and not truly embedded into the heart of your marketing tech stack. So yeah. But then data integration is the most important thing at the end of the day for delivering that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we surveyed a bunch of our partners like you and others, and we showcased some of these challenges or opportunities. There was a top 3 coming out of the partners, and data integration was a big one, as you know. We also heard the personalization, we continue to hear that, and then agility. There were the 3 top trends. And I think you touched on some of the issues with data integration. There's more data than ever before, but you can create simplicity if you have the right data sets, right? You don't need necessarily hundreds of data points on the customers. The right data set is most important, correct? And in order to create that reciprocity, create that engagement with the customer, so you can help exceed those expectations that it may have of the brand, correct?
Yeah, and the right data is the right way to frame it, because that will also help you avoid this creepy versus cool conundrum for doing things like personalization of messages, of offers, of content. Third-party data needs to be consigned to the dustbin of history, in my opinion. And I think brands that are over-indexing on collecting data directly from a consumer, by actually asking them for their input, their opinion, putting in interactive experiences which get the consumer to tell you more about themselves directly in return for more personalized products, services, offers, content, etc. That's definitely the way to avoid some of this privacy disruption. And loyalty programs have always been fantastic vehicles for collecting that data direct from consumers. You also need to pull all your first-party data, because if you really have the right technology stack and you're able to understand a consumer interaction across many different channels, many different engagements, and that loyalty isn't just some sort of offshoot to the side, not connected to the rest of your MarTech stack, you will be able to pull all of your first-party data interactions, regardless whether it was, POS systems, websites, standard email sends that you have, SMS, whatever it may be, because all of those interactions are signals of where that individual is and can give you an opportunity to deliver an enhanced experience. But to do that, you need to have a customer data platform at the heart of your technology stack and at the heart of your loyalty program, because those are the platforms that allow you to pull all these signals and then run machine learning algorithms over the top of it to understand what's the right message to send at the right time on the right channel to that individual. So it's not just customer data platforms, it's customer data platforms with journey orchestration natively embedded. If you don't have those two pieces together, if you're talking about, oh, well, I've got, Snowflake or some other kind of IT-led system sitting away at the, on the bottom floor of the IT organization, and you need to be a wizard to go in and actually interrogate that data and, ask questions and pull back learnings. That data isn't actionable. That's not going to help you with a real-time connection of offers and personalization to an individual based on where they are in the customer journey. So IT technology could be an enabler, but if you don't do it right, it can also be your biggest problem.
Absolutely, and we see from marketers that understanding the different data sets they have, they are not to use a banal term, they are siloed, right? And you and I have been talking about this a lot because we have a webinar series coming up, which we're going to talk about some other fun topics. But when you look at kind of the data sets, they are challenged. They know what they should do, but they're challenged to get there, and they're tired, I think, of suppliers and agencies and others saying, talking to them like you need to get to personalization, you need to get control of your data. It's in silos, right? They know that. But they need the technology and the best practices from organizations like yourself who are doing it for other amazing leading brands to help them, right? They don't need to be lectured continually about, your data's wrong, or, it's in a silo. They know that. They want to know how to address and fix that, correct?
Yeah, and it's interesting because some of the constraints that are on marketers to actually make data actionable can come down to the politics of how their IT infrastructure is actually run. And so one of the things that we've been helping brands to navigate is a lot of these companies have invested in a kind of single source of data that where it's housed, where they know this is the system of record for all kinds of data, all kinds of customer data. And that can be quite often something which is controlled by the IT department. You've got the data warehouse, they've got all this feeds coming into it. But then that makes it extremely difficult for that data to be truly actionable by marketing. So you don't want to get into a sort of political fight of who owns the source of truth. But what you can do is layer on, customer data platform technology on top of your data warehouse, so that the marketer owns basically all of the marketing data. It's coming from your data warehouse. And that can be, as long as you're using apps that are natively connected to the CDP, that can make that data actionable in a way that doesn't get you into the politics of trying to fight with IT over who owns, the single source of truth. These things, there are workarounds, there are solutions to make data actionable in the realm of marketers that doesn't cause, massive political issues.
Absolutely. And when you look at data, brands are trying to get to personalization. There are a number of brands that do, amazing job of getting personalization right. And like other customer loyalty or kind of marketing opportunities, it's quickly evolving. But personalization was the second most noted trend. And we're seeing this trend and push towards hyper-personalization. What does hyper-personalization mean to you and to Cheetah Digital?
Yeah, hyper-personalization essentially means marketing to the individual, right? To me as a consumer versus to a segment. And I kind of use the analogy that it's like the difference between calling a call center and receiving an automated script that puts you into various segments that you can choose from, versus actually talking to a call center rep. Everybody knows what's the most valuable experience. But actually, when you think about how well we're doing to deliver that kind of the personalization to individuals as a marketing industry, we've been falling short, right? We've been falling a lot, considerably short. In fact, in our consumer index trends report, you know, we looked at basically what consumers thought about personalization, and you know, the majority of consumers were saying that there was challenges there. You know, 42% of consumers reported they regularly get irrelevant contents or offers. You know, 30% of them get messages based on information about them that they hadn't shared directly with the brand. You know, 30% receiving messages that don't relate to their decision making. So, you know, lots of challenges with actually making personalization work. And the benefits of doing it well are obvious. I'll give you another example. You know, if you've got a VIP loyalty member that is stuck on the tarmac for 2 hours, you know, with a delayed flight, you know, it's probably not the best time to message them with an upsell offer. Instead, you might want to, you know, send them an offer of an apology and some points, etc. Now that's personalization down to an individual, but an individual in a particular environment, in a particular customer journey. So it's relating it all down to where that individual is in their own experience, and then delivering it. And that has a scale problem, because how do you do that across 5 million, you know, consumers, 20 million, 30 million consumers that are all in a different journey, that all have a different status and a different importance to you, that have all given you a whole bunch of different signals, you know, with their interactions on different channels. How do you knit that all together? And that's why I say it is impossible to do that without having a customer data platform and without journey orchestration and then machine learning over the top of it to really understand.
Looks like we lost Richard again. And it's not my internet, because I know I've already been on the phone, as we heard with here we go. He's back.
I'm back.
I know, you got to quit pushing those buttons over there. You're in the meat of the discussion and you keep pushing the wrong button, or maybe not. So you were talking a little bit about the benefits of hyper-personalization, how important it is to get it right, and how you know, they need to leverage technology, and doing it at scale. That's a, you know, a big challenge and a big opportunity. What are some mistakes that brands and marketers are making that you see when you help them get to hyper-personalization?
Well, I mean, I think if you've got the right technology infrastructure in place, it becomes a lot easier to start to deliver hyper personalization. The biggest problem with getting there is being able to understand the individual and where they are in that customer journey. Right, that's the single biggest problem that folks have. Being able to absorb all that data from all the different signals and all the interactions across all the different programs and messages and content and advertising that you're sending to an individual, and where they are in that journey chain. That's the complexity. And the only way, as I said probably before I cut out, is if you've got the CDP, loyalty, and customer journey orchestration, and messaging all in the same environment. Right. If it's off to the side, if loyalty is off the side from the rest of your customer engagement, you're going to make mistakes.
Absolutely, and integration is very integral in this. And you know, I know that there are other entities out there that speak of just having the platform, right? Having a kind of a rules engine, and to your point, not necessarily having the automation piece, not having the ability to do unique segmentation or using AI to look at next best offer or any optimization tools. So getting that integration right, making sure you can do it at scale is huge. And now it's not just one platform, it's in a kind of assortment of platforms, right? And being able to make sure they connect is a huge challenge, but it's a huge opportunity as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, look at I mean, one of your members, Salling Group. You know, yeah, no, you guys had them on recently. They get a 10x more activity now in the new loyalty program because of the personalized offers, because they have that CDP and that loyalty program running together, to, you know, understanding the consumer and being able to react to those signals in real time. That wouldn't be possible if these were systems or applications that weren't properly integrated.
Absolutely. And the last trend we saw coming out of the survey we did was agility. The need for agility coming through COVID was a challenge for many brands, especially those running customer loyalty programs. they are used to, making sure they have efficacy and efficiency there, but now they have to look at BOPUS, buying online, pick in store, and doing virtual delivery, or I got buying online and picking up or delivery to home. It was a very challenging time, and it kind of expedited some of the technology challenges they have, and they may not have been loyalty specific. So being nimble and having that agility is very important to brands to have effective customer loyalty and customer experience strategies, correct?
Yeah, no question. And there's, as you say, quite rightly, there's never been a sort of tougher time for many industries to have to turn on a dime and show that agility to respond to the creation of new business models, or the morphing of new business models because of the pandemic. We've had some fantastic case studies of people in some of the hardest hit industries that, because they had the right infrastructure, they had the right views on data to their consumers, they were able to accelerate some of this digital transformation that was necessitated by COVID. A great one is Bloomin' Brands, and they've talked about it quite a bit. Having to move, a 90% increase in their home delivery and curbside pickup business, within weeks of the pandemic kind of hitting. And that's a big consumer trend. And as we think about kind of agility, it's not just how they responded to the pandemic, it's also the opportunities for revenue as the pandemic eases and as things start to open up. For example, take someone like Bloomin' Brands, in that industry, restaurants and bars, the individuals that were coming in and actually consuming the curbside pickup or the online delivery, were those the same customers that were coming in to, have their Friday night dinner in the restaurants? There's new groups of individuals that are connecting with brands because of this digital transformation. And the goal, with many of these industries, is to make sure that you're retaining the new digital interactive methods with some of your older traditional formats, like in restaurant dining, because if you can get consumers to do both, that's your best return in terms of overall customer lifecycle value. You're only going to do that with data integration and proper insights into consumer behavior, and then being able to respond to it, to give the right, this segment, this group of individuals, the right offer that's going to make them a more valuable customer over time.
Absolutely. And great time to be in customer loyalty, especially if you have the right kind of agency partners or technology partners to help you, evolving very rapidly. What are other trends that you see, to kind of wrap this up, that are pivotal for marketers throughout the remainder of 2021 and going forward? Or your respective thought leader in this industry, what are some other pivotal technologies or ideas or trends that you're seeing that marketers should be considering with regard to their customer loyalty approach?
Yeah, I'll just back up one moment and just say that, when you say about it's a great time to be in loyalty, there's no question it's a great time to be in loyalty. 36% of consumers in the research that we did say they're more likely to engage in loyalty programs this year than last. And last year's research showed that there was a big lift from the year before. So, that's great that consumer attitudes show that there's a support for greater participation in loyalty programs. But we even have the IAB now, the Institute Advertising Bureau, coming out and saying, you need all brand advertisers, all marketers, all organizations out there need to A, be building more direct to consumer relationships, and B, they need to think of a value exchange for the consumers to incentivize the long-term sharing of data, long-term engagement, as well as long-term transactions. They have 3 pillars of what value exchange mean, and loyalty programs are one. So that's the IAB saying that to anyone that's pumping money into advertising. So no question about it, loyalty is going to be the framework for that value exchange that every advertiser, every brand needs in order to build those direct to consumer engagements and relationships over time. Because the privacy disruption means if you don't have that direct data relationship, you're going to be shut out of a whole load of personalization that you've been doing in the past. So super important time to invest in loyalty. And I think in terms of the trends that I would say, there's a couple of things here. there's no question that loyalty is, as customer loyalty programs are extending from beyond, from points for purchase, transactional based programs. And I actually think we're going to see many more completely non-traditional brands coming into customer loyalty programs because of a lot of this disruption in ad tech. So you're going to see more people like Vans that are running programs which are 100% experiential. They're not about discounts. They're about giving a framework for people to get closer to the brand and have great experiences and connect. That's going to be a big thing moving forward, I believe. People are going to be looking at experiential loyalty and wanting to dive in and get those direct-to-consumer relationships.
Absolutely. Well, I think, Richard, it's great talking to you. Great speaking with you as always. Getting your feedback as kind of one of the preeminent kind of strategists and technology kind of gurus in the industry, and look forward to hearing more from you in 2021.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, Mark. Keep up the good work. Love what you guys are doing.
And thanks everyone for listening. Join us back next Tuesday, and have a great weekend.